는 뛰어난 성능을 보이고는 있지만 굉장히 비싼 기술이기 때문인데요. 스타트업들을 만나셔서 여러 조언들을 하실 것 같은데 주로 좀 이런 생성형 AI를 다루고 싶은 스타트업들은 좀 어떤 전략적인 고민이 필요하다고 보시는지 궁금합니다.
You mean the AI startups or startups in general?
스타트업 제안은.
So right now is a complicated moment, I think, for startups, except maybe in the Gen AI sector, which is still very hype. Very, a lot of investors are very interested by this sector. So what we witness in Europe, probably also in Korea, but also in the US, is overall in the tech sector now is a time where crazy valuations is over. During COVID, there were a lot of investors with very deep pockets who were investing and pouring money in the ecosystem at crazy multiples or crazy valuations with very limited due diligence. So it created a sort of bubble, and this is really a moment where now we're phasing out of this period where I think founders thought that they could spend unlimited money and burn a lot of cash without really caring about the growth or the profitability of the company. So right now what we're witnessing in tech is valuations are becoming more reasonable, more in line with the fundamentals of the companies, and founders or CEOs are much more focused on the cash burn, but also on the path to profitability. So I think that's quite healthy. So that's I would not have to give any advice because I think the founders have already understood which is the new normal. So they're adjusting to that. In AI, it's a different story because we've witnessed recently in France, for example, there was this company founded by very, very talented people who came from Meta, from Google, so very, very strong academic background and very strong track record in terms of experience. And before the company was even registered, they raised a seed round of like 110 million euros. So the company was not even registered, so only on their names and their project, but it was a project on paper. They raised 150 million, and the company was not even created. So no revenue, no business, probably a business plan, but it's totally crazy. So it's something you would never have seen in another sector than Gen AI. So right now, I think there's a interesting moment because everybody's focusing on this technology, but things need to remain a bit reasonable. And for investors, it's a big risk taking because there will be winners in this ecosystem, but there will also be probably lost bets. I think in Korea, what is really interesting is that because for AI, the hardware, we only think about the algorithm, the LLMs, etc. But I think one fundamental thing is the hardware part of this, so the chips. And you have a unique position because you have a very strong global player foundry, people who design and manufacture chips. So I think this gives Korea a huge advantage, a huge competitive edge when it comes to AI, because in the value chain you have a big part of the value chain. So that's, I think, something that definitely the government should support, as it does. I think it's a very strong support, governmental support for AI. But I think it's a massive advantage for the country, at least to create a full ecosystem. I mean, Naver is obviously a part of this ecosystem, but all the people working on applications, inference models for the AI, I think it's a great advantage for the country.
네, 감사합니다. 정말 지적하신 대로 그 AI라는 것도 지금 거대한 흐름이고 굉장히 지금 많은 빅뱅이라고 부를 정도로 큰 이제 흐름을 타고 있는데요. 또 돌이켜서 보면은 웹3라든지 메타버스라든지 블록체인이라든지 이런 많은 기술들도 각광을 받았지만 적합한 비즈니스 모델이라든지 정말 그런 제대로 생태계에 가치를 주지 못하면 또 꺼지는, 소위 말하는 그 버블이 꺼지는 그런 것들도 저희가 목도했기 때문에 또 기업의 입장으로서는 어떠한 비즈니스 모델을 만들어내고 그리고 그것들이 정말 실질적인 가치를 이용자들한테 줄 수 있을지 고민을 해봐야겠다는 생각이 들었고요. 또 정말 적절히 지적해 주신 대로 인터넷 기업의 경우에는 특히 이런 생성형 AI를 이용해서 사업을 하고자 하는 그 기업의 경우에는 이런 정말 이 데이터 처리를 해야 되는 데이터의 양이 굉장히 많고 이것들을 처리하기 위한 GPU의 그 가격이 정말 높기 때문에 저희도 현재 한국의 기업으로서 정말 다행히 저희가 반도체에 대한 경쟁력을 가지고 있어서 AI 칩스를 어떻게 개발할 것인지에 심도 깊은 논의를 하고 있고 결국에 이러한 논의와 R&D가 전반적인 그 비용의 절감으로 이어질 수 있으면 더 큰 경쟁력을 발휘할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 다음 질문은 그 아까 스피치 전반에 저희가 네이버와 그 플레리님이 처음 인연을 맺은 게 사실은 한국과 프랑스가 인터넷에서 좀 주권을 가져보자. 빅테크가 정령하는 세계에서 우리가 우리의 문화와 우리의 인재의 영향이 가장 크게 미치는 이 산업에 있어서 좀 주권을 가져보자라는 의미로 좀 협력을 시작했었다는 것을 말씀 주셨는데요. 그 디지털 주권과 좀 굉장히 유사한 맥락에서 AI 주권이라는 개념도 이제 주목을 받고 있는 것 같습니다. 그래서 지금 뭐 세계적으로 생성형 LLM에 있어서 가장 주도하는 것이 미국의 MS와 구글이고 그리고 메타 그리고 얼마 전에 이제 중국에서도 이러한 것들을 발표를 하고 있는데요. 그 AI 주권을 이제 어떻게 확보해 나갈 수 있을 것인지도 각 정부들의 고민인 부분입니다. 그래서 정부 주도로 프랑스의 스타트업을 육성을 하고 기술 생태계를 부흥시키는 라 프렌치 테크를 이끈 장본인으로서 유럽에 있어서의 생성형 AI 거버넌스는 어떻게 해야 되는 것인지 오히려 그럼 그 전제로 AI 주권이라는 것도 정말 중요하다고 보시는 것인지 궁금합니다.
Yes, I think it's very important because every revolution gives rise to new champions. And so I think in Europe, we've missed the second revolution of the internet with the social network. I mean, you know, we've discussed that before, but I was jealous as a minister in France of digital that Korea was able to have a company like Naver because, you know, we were always complaining in France, not only in France, in Europe, that we're so dependent upon a big American big tech. So, you know, there used to be some other search engines. For example, I remember when I started using the internet, I was using Alta Vista, Netscape. All these actors, they've totally disappeared. And now Google is so super dominant that we don't have a choice. We have to use it. You know, there have been some attempts to develop some local solutions, but they are not relevant because there's not enough, it's a network effect, there's not enough people using them. So I think, you know, on this we've really missed this revolution and the ability to create a sort of European neighbor or a European champion. Gen AI, there's no champion for the moment, but when you see the money that Google is investing, for example, or Facebook or Amazon or Meta or Amazon, recently read that Facebook is injecting like $2 billion, you know, for the LLM to make Bard more accurate, etc. So this is, you know, an amount of money that no private company can put in France. And so my fear is that, you know, if we don't create alliances, then it will be the same thing all over again.